Welcome, everyone, to the Blue Demon Room podcast, where DePaul Athletics is so excited to bring you stories of its student athletes, coaches, and alumni. I'm your host, Casey Standahar, and I'm thrilled to introduce our next guest. We have DePaul softball players with us. We have Baylee Cosgrove and Nigey. Ladies, thank you for joining us in the Blue Demon Room.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
So you've got some new gear on, and we're practicing indoors right now. What's been going on lately?
Yeah, a lot of early mornings, a lot of long days, long practices, but we're spending a lot of time off campus at Rosemont and intentional, getting some reps, so it's been really good so far.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're in the middle of a very cold part of Chicago right now. It's like -1 degrees outside, and you've been putting in a lot of early mornings preseason. What's it like pitching and catching inside rather than out on the field right now?
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment. I think it's nice to pitch inside and kind of exclude that weather factor and kind of see that consistency. But it's also been nice to get off campus and pitch on turf, which we play on here and which we'll play on in our season opener. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in here we see a lot of different challenges that you kind of just hitting mostly. You can't necessarily get the same reps that we do like
Right.
at Rosemont and stuff, but it's especially been nice to go to Rosemont because that's where we do open up. So we're kind of getting the feel for it there and seeing everything that it has there.
And Cacciatore Stadium, different than a typical stadium, right? It has that dual purpose, it's turf, and the L's there. So what's that home field advantage feel like, and how do you feel as freshmen when you were freshmen years ago? How did you adjust?
Yeah, I think coming from high school, traditionally you play on a lot of dirt fields. And so coming to DePaul and even being able to play like on turf, which most of the conference has turf fields, has been nice. But yeah, definitely been an adjustment.
Yeah, I think, the train is loud, and that was the biggest thing at first, I think, when I was a freshman, to kind of get used to that. But you really get in it fast. Like, all the seniors kind of help you out, and you really have no choice but to get used to it. So it was pretty easy, yeah.
We know the sound of the L can kind of get in the minds of your opponents. The soccer players, their opponents have told us that, and then you guys have said the same thing. But does it become just like white noise for you guys?
Yeah, I forget that it's there, and then like at second base, someone will be like, "How do you like practice with this train every day?" And it's just kind of like, "Oh yeah, I kind of forgot it was there." But it does seem to annoy a lot of our opponents. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is an advantage kind of having to practice there all the time and having that train and getting used to it in the fall. So in the spring, it's pretty white noise to us, but I think it does get in the heads of a lot of our opponents.
It would make me like strike out for sure if it was up there.
Yeah.
Have there been any moments from the preseason so far that have stuck out for you guys?
I think all of us coming together, there's a pretty new team, new coaching staff and everything. So the way that we've kind of, like even in the fall, the way we've bonded and kind of quickly became like each other's best friends so fast was really cool to see.
Yeah, before we went over break, we assigned like bigs and littles on our team of upperclassmen and underclassmen, and I think it's really kind of merged like the new half of our team and the returners, and so I think that's been really nice to get closer to our teammates that way too.
Yeah.
There's obviously been some coaching changes. How has that energy kind of changed in the room when you're practicing, kind of wherever, just getting to know this new coach?
Yeah, I think energy is the biggest thing for us. Coach Liz always wants us loud and being crazy. So I think when you have, especially at 6 a.m, it's so fun to just be energized and makes the practice go by a lot faster. And we obviously have a lot of fun. So I think it's been great.
Yeah, I work a lot with Coach Sut with the pitching staff, and she's just done a phenomenal job of individualizing a lot of our pitching workouts and kind of getting us that idea that we're gonna, work as a staff and we all bring valuable pieces. So it's been really nice getting to work with her.
Love that. You start every practice, we know, with the gratitude circle. Was that awkward at first, something you're used to doing? How is it? How have you kind of felt about it now, too, that you've done it a while?
Yeah, I think at first it was kind of just like generic basic answers because it was a little bit awkward. But now, like every day, I look forward to it every day. It kind of gets you in a good mindset, ready for practice, and being thankful for what you have outside of the sport. So I think it's been great for all of us. We get giggles out of it. Sometimes it's funny, but it's a good time for us all to connect, too, especially with the coaches.
Yeah, going off of her, I think it's also a good time for us to like refocus and remember like why we're there, and to not take just little things like that for granted.
Love that. It sets the intention for the whole day.
Yes.
That's cool. Baylee, you were on the all-academic team these past 2 seasons. Is that something that you were striving to do, or kind of did it just happen? Were you thinking about that ahead of time to
I think
make that?
always here, like at DePaul, like everyone talks about, academics and how like important it is. So I think all of us, I didn't necessarily strive to be on that award or anything, but always striving for good grades, yeah. Liz loves a good team GPA too, so yeah.
Yeah, that always feels good. How do you manage, though, sport and your studies?
I think you kind of have to have a good schedule, especially when we're on the road. A lot of times from Thursday to Sunday, that kind of plays a big factor into it, and you just have to have a good schedule and usually get your homework done a lot of times before we leave.
Yeah, I would agree. I think having it done before has definitely made the weekends earlier of like being able to fully like focus on games and not like papers due Sunday night or projects and stuff. So
Yeah.
Bella, I'll start with you. What are you studying, and how did you go about choosing that path?
So I am en route to be a speech-language pathologist. My major is psychology with a concentration in human development and a minor in speech-language pathology. And originally coming here, I was really interested in doing like health sciences or potentially pre-med, but the options are just a little limited in that range. So one of our good family friends owns like a private practice back home. So over breaks, I'm able to work there. So I've really grown my love for that.
And where's home for you?
I'm from Bettendorf, Iowa,
Oh,
Quad
wow.
Cities.
Okay, so you're not quite local.
Yeah, not quite.
Baylee, what about you?
I'm studying business management, and then I have a concentration in human resources. I think in the beginning I wanted to do like nutrition and like health science route, but I quickly found that was not for me. And yeah, I took like a very basic business class, and we did like 10 weeks of like different parts of business, and I liked the management aspect, so I kind of went down that.
Amazing. Bella, at the end of last year, you received the G. Norberg Memorial Award for Academic and Athletic Excellence, Personal Character, and Leadership. That's a mouthful of an award. I love it. Can you tell us what it means to receive that in front of all your fellow athletes, your teammates, and why you think you received that award, why you earned it?
Yeah, personally, it was a really honorable moment, and I loved, being the person on the team that got to receive that award. That meant a lot to me. Going through a lot of the adversity that we faced last year, personally, I kind of battled an injury the whole year and tried to keep a positive mindset and remember that everyone has a role on the team. And also going on with that, like having good academics and striving to like do really well in that range. So I think that might have played into it, but there's a lot of girls on our team that are very qualified for that reward. So
Yeah, that's a huge honor. That's great. And you mentioned some of the hardships and the trials that you guys have faced. DePaul's used to being in the Big East tournament and used to winning. How have you guys kind of worked toward that goal again, getting back there?
I think it's starting with a mindset, like we don't want to be in the same boat as last year, and it comes from, positive mindset, energy, all the small things that we're kind of trying to implement now, so when things do get hard, it's easier to kind of get out of that rut. So I think, we already tell ourselves we're going to like win it. Like that's just the mindset that we have to have, and hopefully to get back to that tournament.
And Baylee, you were a 4-sport athlete in high school, so why out of all the varsity sports, you played basketball, softball, volleyball, cross country, why was softball the one for you?
Yeah, I think that's the one I played like travel in. I went to a really small high school, so like everyone played every sport, and that's just kind of how it was. But I played travel softball, and I think that's where I found my love for the game. And like I'm not very tall, so basketball wasn't really an option either. But yeah, I just love softball, so that's why I chose it.
And Bella, you have 3 younger sisters, oldest of 3. That's tough. Do you think growing up, being a role model for them, has given you kind of the practice to be that for your teammates now that you're in your junior year?
Definitely, and I see it more like as I grow older and I look at the freshmen and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the age of my younger sisters. Like I kind of take them in that way. But I think it's definitely shaped my ability to be a leader on the team and kind of, that figure.
Yeah.
On that same note, both of you are upperclassmen, right? You're a junior, you're a senior. What's it like kind of taking on that role where you take those transfers and those freshmen under your wing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for like being a leader this year was a little bit different because like I know DePaul, I know like the academics realm, but like having a new coaching staff and Coach Liz, I was kind of a little bit scared to be that leader because I didn't know DePaul softball at that moment, you know?
Right.
But I think just having them and having them help us, it's made it pretty easy to go into that leadership role.
Yeah. And to go on with that, I think our transfers are all upperclassmen, and they've also added a huge leadership role. We have a pitcher, a catcher, and a fifth-year first baseman that has really, elevated our leadership. I think we have like a group of leaders, and it's not just one that kind of everyone looks up to.
Teamwork, love it.
Yes.
Ladies, I can imagine you both were big fish in little ponds in your high school sports, right? And we talked about that before the break. What was the transition into a D1 program like for you, and was it refreshing to have to kind of reprove yourself? And I'll start with you, Bella.
Yeah, coming from my high school, actually, we had a couple girls in the year above me and, a couple years even above me that went D1. So there was kind of that, like, lingering expectation. And I was really fortunate to be on a high school team that had a really good coach, and we were in the state championship every single year that I was playing. So it was really nice. And even like my catcher, my junior year, she was here and is now at Auburn, but really shaped me into kind of like the pitcher that I was able to transition here. And that was really nice.
Yeah, I think for me, I went to such a small high school, so like the city was even just a huge change for me. But after coming here, I got lucky enough to have a group of fifth-year seniors that went through the COVID year, and they were great leaders and honestly made it so easy to come in as a freshman and, just work hard. And, you saw them obviously going to get that playing time, so you had to find a different role to be in, and I think that was really good for me my freshman year.
We recently had a special episode of the DePaul Blue Demon Room podcast, and we had softball alum, former coach, now Hall of Fame member, Lindsay Chenard on the podcast. And we talked about how maybe there's a misconception with softball players saying they can pitch longer than baseball players. Her take was, when she was playing, since softball was only able to be played until college, pitchers didn't often worry about the longevity or the health of their arm like baseball players do. They just wanted to kind of play as long as they're eligible. So even with the addition of a pro softball league, do you find this to be true?
Yeah, I would say also with the growing resources of like arm care and being able to like see, trainers and be able to like get surgeries that are quicker recoveries, that has been a huge addition. But I think it's also changed a lot in terms of like scouting technology and all that. So whereas I feel like back then, pitchers were able to, you could ride a pitcher for the majority of the season and she could throw 14, 15 innings a weekend. Now it's kind of more staff-based, which I think adds a lot of, versatility. So, yeah.
With the addition of that pro league, and then there's AU softball and all these other ways that you can extend your career, what has that meant to the both of you, just knowing that there are options if you want to continue playing?
I think it's great. Like, even the college sports, like, viewing for softball has, like, in the past couple of years just, like, skyrocketed. I think it's just amazing that, we obviously think softball is great, but so many people are starting to appreciate the sport a little bit more. And, the professional league, it's just great to see it growing, I would say.
Yeah, and especially with Chicago kind of being a hot spot for that AU league, and even having Coach Abby, who's had that experience, it's been, really cool to get more insight on that.
Yeah, a few DePaul alums have gone on to play in
Yes.
AU. That's awesome. This question is for both of you. If you could tell the world anything about softball, what is one thing that you think they maybe get wrong or they don't quite understand?
I think, I don't know. What would you say, Belle?
I would say that softball is, if not equally, kind of more mental than physical.
Yeah.
I think in recent years there's been, a good touch on the mental side of softball, and this year we've started working with kind of like a mental performance coach, which I think has been really good for us. But yeah.
I think I would agree with Belle. I think just the mental part of the game, like hitting 3 out of 10 is like good, which you wouldn't really think that because that seems like failure. But I think, that's the biggest thing is just the mind game and how to work about that.
Yeah, considering like your at-bats and your performance for the day, when it's like that, something maybe glass half full rather than kind of beating yourself up over it. That's interesting. When you both started at DePaul, professional softball really wasn't a thing, but in 2022, the AUSL had its first season, and how did you guys feel knowing that, again, we talked about playing after graduation is an option, but just knowing that it's growing as a sport for young girls as well, because you think about how girls probably look up to you, but
Yeah.
think maybe there's a ceiling, like it can't go further than that.
Yeah. I think we've went to like a couple AU games and things like that. And I think that's the biggest thing that I love is like all these little girls get to go watch this sport. Whereas like when I was a kid, it was mostly like Major League Baseball. That's kind of what we looked at. But now like all these young girls are, wearing their jerseys or just things like that, getting autographs. And I
They're
think
on
that's
playing
amazing.
cards now.
Yes.
Like, that's awesome.
It's so amazing.
And even with the re-addition to the Olympic softball team, I think that'll be, a really pivotal point.
Yeah.
That's right. They're bringing it back. That's huge.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I was sad they even took it away.
I know.
Yeah.
We got to ask, though, since you both play softball in Chicago, what are your thoughts on 16-inch softball? Have you played it? Do you like it? I didn't really know it was a thing until I moved here, so...
I played it once for a church league back home. It's a lot harder than you think it is, and I was not very good at it, shockingly. But yeah, I think it's cool. It's maybe better for you once you're out of college, not as like intense. So maybe it's something I would look at. But
Yeah, I've never played like a game with a 16-inch ball, but we use them for like pitching tools and stuff. But yeah, I would agree. It's probably definitely harder.
Yeah, I've played it like in leagues at jobs and stuff, and everyone wants like, we need you on our team. And I'm like, I'm too afraid to get hurt. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, ladies, what has been the most memorable road trip so far? A place you guys visited on the road that you really enjoyed?
I think for me, this was my freshman year. I loved UCF. It was so pretty. Best dugout I've ever been in. It was so nice, but I would probably say that's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, my freshman year, the conference tournament was at UConn, and we kind of came in as underdogs. And so we didn't have a lot of pressure, but, we really still had that expectation to do well. And so going in and being really competitive and winning some games right away was really nice, and it also just made it really fun, and kind of that team environment
that was a fun
Yes,
weekend,
I was there
for
too.
sure.
I love
Yes.
that. That just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like bigger than life when we were
Yeah,
there.
and we
for
usually
sure.
don't play night games, and so we played 2 back-to-back night games, which
so
was really
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
So
And we weren't supposed to be there either, which is even the cooler part about it.
yeah.
Speaking of that, what have you really learned about yourselves in your softball careers so far? And I know you still have this year and Bella for you next year, that you'll take away. What's that thing that you've really like grown or learned about you?
I think for me, I could just see myself how I've matured so much, and like I know like when I'm in the workforce, I'll think about like all the softball things really. So I think just the way it's prepared me, and I've seen myself go leaps and bounds of what I ever thought I could do as a person here. So I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I think for me, kind of like how you go in the face of adversity and how to like overcome these challenges, and my problem solving skills have gotten a lot better,
for
and
sure.
Even just leadership too
Yeah.
has enhanced a lot.
Yes.
What are you both looking forward to most this season? Maybe it is a place you're going to visit, or play a team you're going to play against, a redemption game, whatever it is.
I think for me, I just love the atmosphere. Like everything, like every day at practice, it's so fun. The coaches are so positive. I'm just really looking forward to having a positive season. No matter what happens or what comes out of it, I know that we'll always be having fun and laughing, and just a positive environment.
Yeah, I think the group of girls we have this year is really fun, and so kind of all that behind the scenes of like traveling and team meals and hotels and stuff will be really fun. I think also kind of going in the season as underdogs too. I think we have a lot to prove, so kind of proving a lot of people wrong.
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Yeah, we saw the standings come out. Obviously, you guys are in a lower spot, but there's that space where you can prove everybody wrong, right?
Yeah.
So seeing that, what was your reaction to that?
I kind of expected to be lower just because, again, new team, new coaches, everything is a little bit different. So I was not that shocked, but it was like a good moment where I'm like, well, they're going to all be probably proven wrong because I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it puts a lot less pressure, especially on all of our new girls too, of like coming in, if roles were reversed and we were like a really high seed, for example, and coming in and just feeling that pressure of like, oh, I really have to like fit in well and do really well. But instead, kind of having that lower amount of pressure of like not having super high expectations, but from other people, but having them for ourselves and from our coaches.
Yes.
So
Love that.
Yes.
All right, we have a quick game for you guys if you're going to stick around and play this game with us real quick. It's kind of like a who is most likely to, okay?
Okay.
Who is most likely to rile everyone up on a road trip or a tournament at night when you should be going to bed?
I don't know.
My vote is you.
Probably. Yeah, I'm a night owl, I would say. Yeah.
And Bailey's kind of one of our more hyped teammates and gets the team fired up. So
Yeah.
So Baylee, you agree?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whose screen time is higher? Do you guys have that alert on your phone where it tells you how long you've been on?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know. We're both super into TikTok.
Yeah.
So
It's back.
Yes,
It was
back.
only gone for
Yes.
24 hours.
worst 12 hours ever. I don't know. That's a tight one. I would say we both have pretty high screen time.
Yeah, too high, honestly.
Yeah.
We talked about Lindsay Chenard before, but she also told us there was a time when she hit herself in the head during a pitch, like throwing a pitch. Who's most likely to injure themselves randomly like that?
Nigey.
Definitely.
Nigey.
Yeah, there's been times where I've like done crazy stuff like that in a game, and it's just one of those times where you're just like, just gotta shake that off and keep going. Cause
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
know, I would be embarrassed, especially when your games are on
Yeah.
TV, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is most likely to take in a stray animal?
Probably Bella too.
yeah.
She's very more nurturing. Yeah, definitely.
Do you have
Yeah, I'd
pets,
say.
Bella?
I do. I have 2 dogs.
Okay.
And a chinchilla.
Oh my gosh. So yes, it
Yes.
would definitely be you
Yes.
with the random animals.
Yes.
I can't even imagine taking care of a chinchilla.
I didn't even know you had one.
All right, last one for you ladies. Who is most likely to lose their voice cheering on their teammates in the dugout?
Ooh. I'd say Kelly Green, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Belle. Just on the mound, she's very vocal, I would say.
Yeah.
So I would say Bella takes
And
that
I'd say I
one.
probably rotate on the bench a lot more just with the pitching staff.
Yeah.
so-
Sure, that's
True.
true.
Very
More time
true.
to shout.
Yes.
Get involved in the cheers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being part of our podcast today. We loved having you on. We wish you the best during the season coming up. A lot of new changes, but we're excited to get spring and get going on softball season.
Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you for having us.
All right, that was another episode of the Blue Demon Room podcast. We'll see you next time.